But the next speaker that is coming up is someone who is a legend in the streets of New York City. If you've been fighting for medical freedom in the past 3 years in New York City, you know who this woman is and who's coming up. I give to you Joe Speak Truth. Joe, come on up. Joe Speaks Truth.
I guess the demons inside these buildings don't want me to speak, apparently. But oh my God, it has been such a long journey. I remember when I started back in 2020, I was trying to warn people about the lockdowns and the restrictions, and I got into it with certain people, including people that I went to high school with, who ended up removing me as a friend because they thought that I was being selfish and a sociopath. But I still didn't stop, and I didn't care if I was by myself because I felt the need and the urge to alert other people, like, look, this is what's going on, and if we don't stop this and if we don't resist, the agenda is going to continue. Before they even roll out the vaccines, I already knew that the vaccines were coming because unfortunately, when I was 16 years old, I read a book, and I always talk about this, called Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. And that book opened up my eyes, and from there forward, I stopped watching television. And my mother thought I was having a mental crisis because she couldn't understand why would a 16-year-old teenager stop watching TV, and I even took it out of my room because I learned that TV was being used to brainwash the masses with certain messages and propaganda. And so at an early age, I was very different from my peers. I didn't fit in anywhere I went. No school, no college, no work, and people, would tell me that I was weird and strange. But I thank God for that, because my difference was the main reason what got me here. Because when I started speaking out, people were against me. My own family thought I was crazy, but that didn't stop me because I felt like I don't need to fit in with nobody. I was able to grow up in all these years and being ostracized and be the black sheep of my family, so I can stand alone. And so as time went by, and I kept telling people, I was trying to warn people eventually about the jobs, right? And I was hoping that everybody, NYPD, FDNY, and every other city workers, I was hoping that we could have shut down the city, because I knew that we had the power all along, and without us, the city cannot operate. It's an illusion of power, right? These people might be sitting in higher places, but if we all revolted and we would just stay home and be like, okay, well, we're not going to go to work today. These people, they can't drive the train. They can't conduct the train. They can't drive your buses. They can go teach at your schools. I was working in the school as a paraprofessional. And so I lost my job. October 1st was the last day. And when I left the school and I got that letter saying that if I was to try to go back, it would be considered trespassing, I left in tears, okay? I left in tears because I'm not a mother, but my biggest dream since I was 8 years old was to be a mother, and I am an aunt. And so the kids that were in the community that I was taking care of, I treated those kids as if they were my children, because I understand that a lot of these kids had issues at home. Sometimes they come, from households that don't have the most healthiest, loving parents. And so I felt like it was my duty as a person that was working with the children to possibly give them the love that they needed at home. And so I'm still devastated from this, but the one thing that I'll say is that there were people that mocked me and said, when you start to see yourself with no money, you're gonna go run and get that vaccine, right? And time went by, and I had some savings, and I'm not even gonna lie here. There have been times where I have had $5 in my bank account, and I used to have thousands of dollars saved, right? But by the grace of God, even though I have $5 in my bank account, I am still me. Your job and your money that you were making in those careers, they don't define you. You are somebody first without that career. And God put us here for a reason. And I feel like the reason why I was born to be a servant, it was to expose the truth, because in my family I was the black sheep, right? And we all serve a purpose, and I'm very happy for the people that got back their jobs, though I wish, like it was stated, this should have never happened. And I believe that every person that lost their job, whether they want to go back or not, should be given back pay for emotional and financial damage. Because financially, I've been hit hard. Emotionally, it took me some time for me to be okay with what happened. Because there's some times where I have felt extremely angry. I'm not even going to lie. Angry at my administrators, angry at the city, angry at my family, angry at everybody else that just sat there. Because I feel like even if it was one person that got fired, and I was sort of being a principal, I think I would have lost my job. There's just no way that I would have been able to sit back and be like, okay, well, let's just let that person get fired, knowing that we didn't do anything wrong. That's the part that really hurt me. None of us here did anything wrong. We did not go to our jobs. We didn't not comply with what they wanted us to comply with. We were fired, and it was an injustice that still hurts me. And then when it comes to this topic of parental rights, like I said, I'm not a mom, but I always wanted to be a mom. And there are times where I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to even have that, because I wanted to have like my own beautiful home, a car, a family, a husband, my children, right? But then at the same time, I feel like the agenda is that they want to depopulate. They don't want us to have children, right? So a part of me is conflicted, because I'm like, I want to have children, but at the same time, should I even bother because of the way that the world is going? And regarding that, I know that there has been some people that think I'm a little crazy, I'm very wild, but you guys have seen nothing yet, because if I would have had a child, you guys would have really seen something completely different than what you guys see. I'm an aunt, and to me, my nieces, I like my children, right? So giving birth, I've never given birth, obviously. Giving birth is painful, right? Creations take pain. Anything that comes to you easily, people don't tend to appreciate that, because you didn't work too hard to get it. So it's like, it's nothing. Just like the firefighters had to go to training, and the school system, you had to go through a process, and the healthcare workers, you had to go to college and do X, Y, and Z. So burning is pain. So it baffles me how there are people that were able to give birth and have children, which is a gift from God, that some women, unfortunately, due to medical reasons, can't even have children. How do you give birth and go through that painful process, but you don't have it in you to protect your child? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. It doesn't make any biological sense. It doesn't. You should feel the urge from the pain that you gave birth to that child to come in line and protect your child. Now, when it comes to a lot of the parents, based on what I saw in the school system, a lot of parents are completely brainwashed. A lot of parents on purpose will put to work and spend their time at work, so they won't have time to see what the government is really doing. And so, unfortunately, in some cases, parents are using the school system as a babysitting center, and they don't have any idea that they have their God-given rights that the government is violating. In the school that I worked at, it was mostly Blacks and Latino parents. And unfortunately, they just had absolutely no idea. And so they play out of the ignorance of the people. And that's why education is so powerful, and the government took over education, because if I'm the government, I control your education, why would I want to empower you and give you real knowledge? If I do, you're going to stand up to me. And that's what they don't want people to do. The more education you have, and I'm not talking about college, I'm not talking about college. I'm talking about common sense education, where you're able to have the discernment to see someone is lying right in front of your face, in the way that they've been lying to us for so many years, and people still don't have the ability to even reason. Even if they're lying right in your face, you can't even see it, right? And then what we saw today in this meeting, it was absolutely disgusting. I am appalled, and I do wonder, I do have the question, are they really this slow? Or are these people being paid by somebody? Because I refuse to believe that they don't understand why some of us are so angry. I refuse to believe that they don't understand why some of us are in so much pain after we have lost our job. Guess what? Had we had our jobs, we wouldn't be here today. Have you guys been doing the moral thing? We wouldn't be here today. But I'm going to close and say this. I want you guys to make a promise, especially those of you guys that have children. No matter what law, if it gets into law or not, because it's a process that they have to go by. I have been reading the Bible lately, and I've given my life to God, because I need something I needed to find comfort in something, right? And all I'm gonna say is that I don't care what gets passed into a law. I will not bow down to another human being. Do you guys understand that? I will not bow down to these people. They are not God. Because it seems like they're playing God. Because, it's like we're children, and, when you're a child, you see your parents as gods, because they depend on them for your survival. They think that we depend on them for our survival. I don't depend on y'all because I have had $5 and I'm still standing. I've been broke and I'm still standing. I have no job and I'm still standing. So I don't need to depend on any of these people. And please, when you leave here, again, even if these people make it into a law, hopefully not, even if they knock on your door, even if they come, do yourself the promise that no matter what happens, you will continue to resist the agenda. Because they're going to continue to roll out things. And even if we are in the minority, remember that your soul is not for sale. Your children are not for sale. Your body and your DNA is not for sale. And even if they do whatever, understand that even if you were to die in this, at least you die with your dignity and your self-respect intact. And your children or whatever other generation will get to see that. Okay? Because what we do, they see, and what we do, they will emulate. So make sure to be careful what steps you go on. All right? Thank you.